Hello, I am Dr. Jessica Cooke and welcome to our Feed for Growth video learning series on calf management and nutrition. In this presentation, I will cover the importance of solid feed in rumen development.
A calf is born with a non-functional rumen. Nutrients from milk are digested in the abomasum and intestines to supply the calf its energy. But the rumen must be sufficiently developed at weaning so that it can digest and utilise solid feed, replacing the nutrients previously supplied by milk, giving the calf its energy to grow. Rumen development is largely driven by the fermentation of calf starter by the rumen bacteria. A calf eating starter will stimulate ruminal microbiome fermentation, and this results in the production of short-chain fatty acids. It is the short-chain fatty acids, butyrate and propionate, that supply the nutrients for maintenance and growth and further stimulate rumen development. A well-developed rumen will have finger-like projections called papillae, which increase the surface area for feed absorption. In addition to starter intake, water is also key for rumen development. Water is essential for the survival of the rumen bacteria. This is one of the reasons why calves must be provided with separate drinking water from day one. The milk feed will enter the abomasum, bypassing the rumen due to the esophageal groove closure. Therefore, water must be provided separately to the milk feed to ensure that this water then enters the rumen. Feeding calves more milk will help maximise their growth, support health and maximise their lifetime milk production. But feeding more milk may delay solid feed intake because the high milk-fed calf will not be driven by hunger to eat starter. Any delays in starter intake can compromise rumen development, leading to poor growth and feed efficiency around weaning. The graph on the left of the slide shows starter intake over the first 50 days for calves fed either 6 litres of milk per day or 8 litres of milk per day. The calves consuming 8 litres were eating less starter compared to those fed 6 litres of milk, and this is because the calves fed 8 litres are not driven by hunger to eat starter. The graph on the right shows average daily gain. Before weaning on day 52, the calves fed higher milk volumes of 8 litres per day had better growth rates compared to those fed 6 litres. But when the calves were weaned, the calves fed 8 litres of milk experienced setbacks in growth. This is because the calves on the higher milk volume consumed less starter, so had a lower consumption of nutrients. But also, they had less developed rumens, so any starter they did eat had a reduced digestibility. Therefore, the calf was unable to fully utilise the nutrients in the starter around weaning. Feeding higher milk volumes is beneficial to the growth and development and health of young calves, but it is important to encourage starter intake alongside these higher milk volumes to minimise the setbacks in growth around weaning. Ensuring the high milk-fed calf consumes a good quantity of solid feed will maximise nutrient intake and therefore growth. A high milk volume coupled with a high starter intake provides more total feed that can be converted into growth. The more starter a calf consumes, the better the rumen development, which will result in a smoother weaning transition. Feed efficiency remains relatively high after weaning. Therefore, a calf eating lots of starter that approaches weaning with a well-developed rumen can utilise the nutrients in the starter and take advantage of the high feed efficiency immediately after weaning, turning feed into growth. Starter intake at weaning has also been positively associated with first lactation milk production. Calves consuming more starter at weaning have been shown to produce more milk in their first lactation. Starter intake in the high milk-fed calf can be encouraged by implementing various dietary and management factors. The specification of the milk replacer is important. A milk replacer with a fat level of greater than 20% has been shown to suppress starter intake. Therefore, a milk replacer with a fat content of around 16 to 20% will help to support and encourage starter intake. As we have seen, higher milk volumes will suppress starter intake because a high milk-fed calf will not be driven by hunger to eat starter. but it is important to feed young calves enough milk to support their health, growth and development. As a guide, offer calves around 900 grams of milk solids per day to help encourage good starter intake, but the amount of milk powder required per day will depend on the environmental and disease challenges on individual farms. It is the cumulative amount of starter that is being consumed prior to weaning that is key for rumen development, not the amount that they're eating on the day of weaning. The day the milk is removed, the calf will eat the starter as it will be hungry, but if it has a poorly developed rumen, it won't actually be able to utilise the nutrients. A calf needs to be eating starter for about 3 weeks prior to weaning to ensure good rumen development. Therefore, the volume of milk offered needs to be reduced for a 3-week period prior to weaning. It is recommended that for the last 3 weeks, the total amount of milk solids offered should be less than 750 grams per day to ensure the calf eats sufficient starter feed. Fresh, clean water should be provided from day 1. Water needs to be provided separately to the milk feed to ensure that it flows into the rumen, where it is essential for the survival of the rumen bacteria. Furthermore, a calf will eat more starter if water is available. It is like us eating a plate of cream crackers. We would not eat many if no water was available, but we would be able to eat more if we had a glass of water. A calf will drink about 1 litre per day in the first week of life, and this will increase to about 4 litres of water for every kilo of dry feed. Starter should be offered from day 1, and we need to consider the palatability, presentation and position of that starter feed. Initially, calves should be offered a small handful of starter to ensure it is always fresh and palatable. Offering starter in shallow dog bowls is thought to encourage intakes, as a calf is more inclined to eat from a shallow bowl rather than having to stick its head into the bottom of a bucket. The position of the starter in a pen is also important. A calf will not go and eat starter if it's in a dark corner of a pen or in a drafty area. If feeding calves via a computerised feeder, position the starter near to the feed stations so that it can eat the starter whilst waiting to enter a feed station. Offering chopped forage at a length of around 3 to 4 centimetres separately from the starter has been shown to encourage starter intake. The function of the forage is not nutritional, but it helps to keep the rumen healthy. It acts a bit like a toothpick, cleaning the rumen papillae, which are the long finger-like projections. Keeping the rumen papillae healthy then encourages the calf to eat more starter. Calves housed in groups or pairs have also been shown to eat more starter due to the peer stimulation. They eat starter in response to seeing another calf eat. Calves should be paired or grouped housed from day 7 to take advantage of this. In summary, it is key that calves eat enough starter alongside their milk feed to ensure that they reach weaning with well-developed rumens. A calf with a well-developed rumen at weaning will continue to grow and thrive with no setbacks, maximising the relatively high feed efficiency post-weaning. Thank you.